not spelled the way it sounds. It's Quinoa, quinoa. And I have a box I'm going to show you. If you can bring some of this stuff out here. So this is organic quinoa that I purchased from Trader Joe's. Comes in the box, and it's pretty simple because it gives you the directions. It cooks very similar to rice. Now, we learned today that there's health benefits in cooking grains for apparently an extra long time. So I'm going to have to learn that. And next time, maybe we'll have a different demonstration. Well, for today, I just followed the instructions on the box. And I'm going to share with you a little trick that I just kind of came up with for this demonstration, actually. So as I have recently learned that the nutritional yeast actually isn't healthful. And I used to use that for my chicken broth. I used that to help make a vegetarian chicken broth. So I asked the Lord to give me something new because I stopped using the nutritional yeast. And God is wonderful because if we just ask him, he will speak to us. And, one of my philosophy is do your best and God will do the rest. So I did my best to say, okay, Lord, I'm not going to use this anymore. Give me something else. Quinoa. So this particular recipe on the back of the box is called garlic chicken stir fry with quinoa, peppers, and basil. So obviously I'm not going to use the chicken. I'm going to use garbanzo beans. They're very high in protein and fiber, so they're a great substitute for a protein in a dish. And I have found over the years that my best recipes are regular recipes, if you will, something with meat or dairy, and I use a substitute, an appropriate substitute, and they make really good options. So what the Lord gave me for my chicken broth is turmeric, parsley, and celery salt. So that is what I use. So Sandy, if you would get me, I think this is 1 cup. This recipe calls for, I should have put my reading glasses on. 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. And for 2 cups of, oh, they're right here. So Sandy's going to put 2 cups of water in the pot. And then I'm one of those cooks that doesn't measure a lot. I just sort of guesstimate an eyeball. But what I came up with my quinoa that I made at home is I used about 8 cups of water with about, I would say, 2 teaspoons of turmeric. So we're going to go with about 1/4 of a teaspoon for this 2 cups. A 1/4 of a teaspoon. And I'm going to use about 1/8 of a teaspoon of celery salt. You could use a little more if you like salt, but I'm really learning to use less and less salt. And I would recommend, if you need to reduce the salt in your diet, that you start in quarters. So if the recipe calls for a teaspoon of salt, use 3/4 of a teaspoon. And start doing that. And then after a while, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt is plenty salty. Then you can move down to a 1/2 a teaspoon of salt so that you can start reducing your salt. You really do have to train your palate. So you start with a little less each time. And then I'm going to use dried parsley. So we're going to stir this up. And I'm going to heat it a little bit. And I actually want you to just taste this broth and see what you think. Because this is going to be your substitute chicken broth. And then we're going to, so I'm not going to actually cook the quinoa because it's pretty simple. Again, you boil the water. Actually, I think the recipe on here says to combine the water and the quinoa, bring it to a boil, and then you let it cook. And it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really pretty quick. So we don't need to do that, but I do want you to kind of taste this broth and see what you think. And I actually have some cooked quinoa that I did in my little chicken broth. And that's what we're going to use for our stir fry. So Sandy, if you look in the freezer, there's some chopped peppers. Yes, they're in a bag. Okay, so this is the quinoa when it's done. This is what I use in the chicken broth. It's a little yellow because of the turmeric. Quinoa isn't usually quite this yellow. It's kind of almost translucent looking once you've cooked it. But this is yellow because of my turmeric base. So we're going to cheat and use the frozen peppers from Trader Joe's. These are great. It's red, yellow, and green bell peppers, and they fry up very nicely. Okay, so once this is warm, if you want to take maybe some teaspoons and just let them, if they want to come kind of just sample that broth, I want to just give them a chance to do that. Okay, so I'm going to put the skillet on for the quinoa stir fry. It should be heated enough. Yeah, that's fine. So according to the box here, you're going to skip the chicken, obviously. And now we're going to add the onions and the bell peppers. So since these bell peppers are frozen, I'm going to start with them before I put fresh onion in there. And one thing I learned recently from Trader Joe's, I know we just learned a lot from Rhonda tonight about GMO products. And it's sometimes difficult to find non-GMO. It's not on the package unless the package specifically says it's non-GMO. And so that's usually what I go by. If it doesn't say non-GMO, I assume it is genetically modified. But I recently saw in Trader Joe's, maybe I'll call them and tell them they can start giving me some commission. But they actually had a sign up that said that anything that has their brand name on it is non-GMO product, because they actually take the time to try to make sure that their products are not genetically modified. Yes? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Very good information. And I think is that something that's in the flyer that you gave us, Rhonda? Because I saw on one of the little booklets, it had the barcode on there. Does it give that information about the number of digits? Because I've seen that as well. And so, again, something that we need to educate ourselves on so that we can do the best we can to buy healthy and wholesome food. So I have my skillet on the stove. Can you hand me the olive oil out of the thing? So what we're going to do is just stir fry the quinoa. We're going to start with the peppers. We're going to stir fry that. And is that warm? Oh, it's not on. No, you could take that out there. I just wanted to. Mm-hmm. No. So I'm putting a little olive oil in my skillet. And I'm going to stir fry these peppers. I love peppers, so I'm generous with them. Sandy's coming around with the mock chicken broth, just so you can taste it and have an idea. Is it something you want to try? And if it doesn't quite suit your taste, turmeric is a very pungent spice, so if it's too strong for you, you can always cut back or just play around, try different things. I'm going to get some onion. Yes, it is. And thank you. I meant to mention that. Turmeric is good for helping to reduce inflammation. So if you have conditions or disease process that involves inflammation, turmeric is great. And it's a wonderful flavor. I like it. Again, it is very pungent. So if it's a little strong for you, you can not use so much. I'm looking for the cutting board. Is Mara still here? Mara, which cabinet is the cutting board? Right here? I found it, thank you. Where's my knife? It's not the one I want. That's not the one I want either. There it is. Nope. Okay, I guess I'll be using this one. I'm going to cut up some red onion. My apologies to the photographer because I'm walking out of range of the camera. And I've read recently that there's some research about red onion that it actually has more antibacterial properties than regular onion. So I'm just going to slice the onion. Oh, red onion is better for prostate as well? Yeah, and it's very high in antibacterial properties. Okay, got the peppers going. I'm gonna put the onions in here. And again, I love onions and peppers as well, so I'm generous with those both. Let's do those back here. Now, I have waterless cookware, which is pretty handy to help minimize the reduction of your nutrients. You know, when you're cooking, I don't have to add a lot of water to the food. It helps simmer the food in its own juice and retains those really good nutrients. So we're going to let that simmer a little bit, and then we're going to add the quinoa and the garbanzos, and we're going to garnish it with fresh basil. I have to confess that I had to cut something out of the demonstration tonight because of something Dr. Diane said. There was a recipe that I had for a little dessert that had dates and nuts. She said don't combine. No, she said combining dates and nuts was pretty... It's difficult to digest because there's I guess probably a lot of macronutrients. And so I said, well, we won't be having that tonight. So my apologies, but thanks to Dolly Norman, we have some fresh dates down there and some nuts. So just be careful when you eat them, how much you eat. What do you think? You like that? So what do you think of the chicken stock? What did you say? Tastes like chicken stock, right? Right off the chicken, without the fat, right? And all the bad things that come from the chicken. And see how wonderful God is? I was just standing in the kitchen going, Lord, I need something else for chicken stock. And he just gave me that combination. I tried it and I said, wow, that works. Thank you. Can you rinse this basil? There's a colander down there in the bottom drawer. These are fresh garbanzo beans that I cooked at home the other day. And I have to confess, I've never cooked garbanzo beans before. I'd always bought them in a can. Never cooked garbanzo beans. So I decided I wanted to do everything fresh for you today. So I got the garbanzo beans and I just cooked them. I soaked them overnight as you do regular beans. And then, drain the water, of course. And then I cooked them in water and about a quarter of a very large sweet onion and several cloves of garlic. And just let them cook until they got pretty tender. And as I was rinsing them, I noticed this skin. And I thought, oh, what is that? I don't think that's going to look good in the food. So I actually ended up taking that husk off. But I decided that when I was cooking them at home in the future, I will probably leave that husk on because I bet that has a lot of fiber in it. And I tasted it, and it really just tasted like garbanzo bean. It wasn't anything bad at all. But I just figured it wouldn't look very nice in the food, so I took those off. But that was my first time actually cooking fresh garbanzo beans, so I hope that they'll be good for you. Okay, our peppers and onions are cooking up nicely. Don't they smell good? Can you smell them out there? Love peppers and onions. Just fills up the house so nicely. So now we're going to take the already cooked quinoa and where's that cup? I'll take that cup. I used about, that was a pretty large onion. So that's about a third of an onion. I used about a half a cup of peppers, and I'm going to put about 4 cups of cooked quinoa. Okay, and then we're just going to stir that around for a few minutes. Since I did the quinoa in advance, it's cold. Thank you. Normally, when I make this dish, I cook the quinoa, let it just slightly cool to room temperature so it doesn't take as long to warm up. But this is cold, so we're going to cook it a little bit longer. And while Sandy is doing that, I'm going to show you my one other item. How many of you like kale? Oh, wonderful. How many of you have never tasted kale? Just one? Okay, good. Kale is extremely nutritious. It's a dark leafy green. You can eat it raw. You can eat it cooked. You can eat it partially cooked. How many of you have ever had kale chips? A couple. Okay, good. I prepared some kale chips for you tonight. And this kale, actually, I purchased, and I wish I had kept the bag. I'm sorry I forgot to, but as you'll learn, Trader Joe's is my favorite place to shop. So they have a bagged kale, and they call this one Tuscan kale. Are you familiar with that, Rhonda? Tuscan kale? This one is a little different. It's kind of almost bumpy all throughout the leaf. Oh, dinosaur kale. Oh, okay, great. And they call it Tuscan kale. So it's already bagged and cut up. So that's fast for your preparation. The other traditional kale has a smooth leaf and it's very curly around the edges. Okay, to me they taste pretty similar. I don't find much difference in the texture. I mean in the taste. It's just that this one's already bagged and cut. So that's the one I get. So this is already clean. And what I do is I just rinse it. Even if it says it's rinsed and ready to wash, wash it. Don't eat anything straight out of the bag from the store. So I take my kale, I have it already rinsed. This is a little bit too thick. You want to get almost a single layer. Let me just put that there. How's that looking? Almost a single layer in your sheet, cookie sheet. If you have like a pizza pan, works pretty good. It's best to use something with an edge though, because they fly off pretty simply, as that one just did. So what I do is there's almost a single sheet here. And I've heard people say that they take the leaves and they put it in a bag with like some olive oil or something and massage it around. I try to find quick. So this is Trader Joe's spray olive oil. Yeah, I told you I need to call them and get a commission. Okay, so I just spray so that they're pretty mostly coated. I'm going to turn it down. I take some onion salt, just a little bit. I'll put some in my hand and just sprinkle, just sprinkle. And I think that's enough. You're going to put your oven on 150 to 175, very low, almost at dehydrator temperature. I think dehydrator is 105 or 105 to 118. And I don't have a dehydrator. So I just do this in my oven. And I actually have an extra large toaster oven that comes with a little tray, closed tray. So it's perfect. I make one recipe enough just for me in my little toaster oven. So 150 to 175 is what I put it on in the oven. After a couple of hours, voila. Takes a couple of hours because it's a very low temperature. It wasn't that fast? So, yeah, when it's crispy. Crispy like a potato chip. So, once we're done with the quinoa, we'll have a little spoon and everyone can have a little taste of kale chip. And we're just about done with the quinoa. I'm just going to top it off with some fresh basil and it will be ready to go. So Sandy's going to put some spoons and we'll put some small plates. Now remember, this is just a taster, so this isn't dinner. So it'll be just enough for everybody to have a nice taste of the quinoa and the kale chips. I don't know about you. Anybody here love potato chips? I love potato chips. I'm a salt snacker. When I snack, I want salty. I don't usually want sweet. I'm a salt snacker, so I love potato chips. Yes. So this is a much healthier option. And I find now I'll make a couple recipes and I keep a little bag to take to work. And it's great. When I want something salty and crunchy, I have kale chips. And I feel like I don't have to go ask for forgiveness afterwards. So I'm just taking this fresh basil and just cutting it in some strips. I love fresh basil also. If you are not accustomed yet to eating, you heard I say yet, to eating fresh herbs and fresh vegetables, you may find some of these things very strong. Give yourself time. Just, have a little bit. If you find that, whoa, this fresh basil is really a strong taste for you, then, if you're going to prepare the dish, you just put a little bit less in there until you learn to really enjoy all these fresh flavors that God gave us. So we're going to just top that off with the fresh basil. I'm going to put the lid on there just for, oh, we're not going to turn that up. I forgot this is electric heat and it's very intense. Oh, we forgot about the garbanzo beans. We can't forget the garbanzo beans. So we'll put the lid on. So I'm going to put 2 cups of garbanzo beans in here. And we're going to just let that warm up a little bit, and then it'll be taste time. Thank you. Okay, any questions? No, everybody's just in a hurry to come up and taste? Yes. Yes.
While you're soaking them overnight, you should leave the lid off.
Yes, absolutely. Never cover them because they will ferment.
Well, the gases are able to escape.
Escape that way.
And then, of course, when you cook them, leave the lid off.
Yes.
Don't cook them with the lid at all.
Thank you for that comment.
If you need more water, just add more water. But that will cut down tremendously on the gas.
Thank you very much. I didn't specify that, but yes, I always soak with the lid off. And actually, if I leave them out overnight and they're going to be soaking all day and I'm at work the next day, if I want to cover them so that bugs or something doesn't fly in there, I just use a paper towel that still allows for aeration and they can soak. And you might even want to change the water. Yes, so soak overnight, and then in the morning, change that water so that it's soaking again in fresh water during the day, and then that helps a lot. Thank you for that. Oh, lentil sprouts. I haven't gotten into sprouting yet, but I'm going to. Rhonda has inspired me. Okay, I think we should be ready. See if these garbanzo beans are warm. I almost forgot them. All right. If we can just get a, I don't know, like a hot pad, then we can put that out there. And here's your quinoa, peppers, and garbanzo stir fry. Very colorful. And one thing that I've learned for flavor is colors. The more colors you have, the more flavor you have. And also the more nutrients you have as well. Yes, actually the recipe for the kale chips, I don't have it written down. It is something that if you're interested, you can email me on recipeforeternallife.com and just let me know and I'll email it to you because like I said, the recipes that I've looked at for the kale chips involve a little more work. So I came up with the easy way with the spray. But there are recipes out there for kale chips, but I can give you mine if you want to email me. And then the quinoa is pretty much what's on the box, only again, not with the chicken. And I have substituted the chicken broth. So again, if you want those measurements or the details, email me and I'll be happy to send that to you. Let's get a tong for the kale chips. Yes. The number 4. The word recipe, the number 4, eternal life, 1 L. The L is for the end of eternal and the beginning of life, so just 1 L. Recipe for eternallife@gmail.com. Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. If you'd like to come up and get a taste, please come and help yourself. Remember, it's just tasting sizes, though, please, so that everybody can have some. Oh, here. Put that here. Just one, not spelled the way it sounds. It's Quinoa, quinoa. And I have a box I'm going to show you. If you can bring some of this stuff out here. So this is organic quinoa that I purchased from Trader Joe's. Comes in the box, and it's pretty simple because it gives you the directions. It cooks very similar to rice. Now, we learned today that there's health benefits in cooking grains for apparently an extra long time. So I'm going to have to learn that. And next time, maybe we'll have a different demonstration. Well, for today, I just followed the instructions on the box. And I'm going to share with you a little trick that I just kind of came up with for this demonstration, actually. So as I have recently learned that the nutritional yeast actually isn't healthful. And I used to use that for my chicken broth. I used that to help make a vegetarian chicken broth. So I asked the Lord to give me something new because I stopped using the nutritional yeast. And God is wonderful because if we just ask Him, He will speak to us. And, one of my philosophy is do your best and God will do the rest. So I did my best to say, okay, Lord, I'm not going to use this anymore. Give me something else. Quinoa. So this particular recipe on the back of the box is called garlic chicken stir fry with quinoa, peppers, and basil. So obviously I'm not going to use the chicken. I'm going to use garbanzo beans. They're very high in protein and fiber, so they're a great substitute for a protein in a dish. And I have found over the years that my best recipes are regular recipes, if you will, something with meat or dairy, and I use a substitute, an appropriate substitute, and they make really good options. So what the Lord gave me for my chicken broth is turmeric, parsley, and celery salt. So that is what I use. So Sandy, if you would get me, I think this is 1 cup. This recipe calls for, I should have put my reading glasses on. 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. And for 2 cups of, oh, they're right here. So Sandy's going to put 2 cups of water in the pot. And then I'm one of those cooks that doesn't measure a lot. I just sort of guesstimate an eyeball. But what I came up with my quinoa that I made at home is I used about 8 cups of water with about, I would say, 2 teaspoons of turmeric. So we're going to go with about 1/4 of a teaspoon for this 2 cups. A 1/4 of a teaspoon.